My name's Mark. I've been driving trucks for over 20 years, and I'm not the kind of guy who scares easy. I follow the rules, I mind my business, and I don't pull over unless there's a real reason. I don't stop because someone waves, and I don't open my door because someone says my rig looks funny. This happened to me in Arizona in 2015, right around dusk, and it's the reason I don't follow anyone off-route anymore. Out here, being polite can cost you. That's why I noticed the other semi when it eased up alongside me instead of blowing past. He paced me for a bit, dropped back, then pulled up again. Clearly, he wanted to be seen without making it obvious. My CB crackled. "Hey, driver, you got a minute? I think your trailer lights are acting weird." His voice was friendly and calm, the kind of tone that makes you lower your guard. I checked my dash and there were no alerts. Looked in the mirror and everything looked normal. I'd walked the trailer at my last stop, checked connections, checked the seal. Nothing was off. "You sure you got the right truck?" I asked. "Yeah, I'm right behind you. It's serious. I'd want someone to tell me." That line hit the exact spot it was meant to. It turns the decision into a moral one. Ignore him, and you're the guy who didn't care. "I'm not stopping on the shoulder," I said. "I wouldn't either," he replied instantly. "That's why I'm saying follow me to the next exit. There's a wide shoulder. Safer than here. Follow me." And then he overtook me. That's when my instincts first leaned forward. Normally I would have shut it down right there, but dusk does funny things to judgment. You're still half in routine mode, thinking about miles instead of risk. I told myself, next exit, lights, public space. If it feels wrong, I leave. The exit came up fast, and it wasn't one of the usual ones. There were no bright signs or gas logo glowing from a mile away. Just a dark off-ramp and reflectors. He took it without hesitation. I followed. At the bottom of the ramp, I expected pavement. Instead, my headlights hit dirt, a narrow road that didn't look built for semis. "You seeing this?" I asked. "Yeah," he said, "just a little ways. Plenty of room to pull off." The way he said it told me he already knew where that room was. We rolled deeper, and the darkness outside my beams felt heavier and heavier. There were no houses, no lights, just miles of desert. Then I saw two vehicles parked off to the side. One looked like an SUV, the other maybe a pickup. Both dark, both positioned, not abandoned. No hazards, no doors open, no movement. That's when irritation replaced doubt, mostly at myself for getting this far. The other truck slowed and pulled into a wider patch of dirt ahead, stopping in a way that didn't make sense. "Too far in. Pull up behind me," he said. "I'll show you." I didn't. I stopped short, keeping my tractor pointed back toward the road. Wheels straight, space in front of me. An exit I didn't have to explain. The SUV was turned toward us like it could swing out and block the road with one move. The other driver's door opened. He climbed down and started walking toward my cab. I couldn't see his hands. He stopped just outside my headlights. His cap was hiding most of his face. "What's wrong with the lights?" I asked through a barely cracked window. He didn't answer. "You gotta pop the door," he said, like it was the obvious next step. Then the pickup's door opened and shut once, like a signal. That's when everything lined up. Two vehicles, one to box me in, one to approach, the semi to keep me cooperative, a three-person setup, maybe more. I didn't argue, didn't escalate. That turned situations into challenges. I keyed the CB and spoke loud like someone was already listening. "Unit 12, confirm my location. I'm off route at an unmarked turnout. Got another driver claiming equipment issue." It wasn't real dispatch language, but it sounded official enough. Then I laid on the air horn. A long, ugly scream that turned the dirt road into noise. The sound bounced off trailers and empty space, announcing that this wasn't quiet anymore. The man took a couple of steps back. I kept the horn going, hit my high beams, and dropped into reverse. Tires crunched grit. For a second, I worried I'd bogged down. That's when the pickup truck rolled forward, just half a length. Just enough to close space if I'd been dumb enough to pull in behind him. That move told me everything. I backed until my trailer straightened, then turned hard toward the ramp, scraping something solid on the way out. As I cleared the turnout, the man slapped my trailer hard enough to echo. Then I was back on pavement, back on the highway, back where rules apply. My hands were shaking. I drove for miles checking mirrors, waiting for headlights to appear. At the next fuel stop, bright, busy, cameras everywhere, I walked my trailer again. Lights, doors, seal. The seal tag wasn't broken, but it was bent. Twisted, like someone had tested it before deciding not to finish the job. I know it was straight when I left my last stop. I always check. So that meant someone was already at my seal while he was talking to me. He didn't notice me. He picked me. I finished the run, but didn't make a report that would go nowhere. I just didn't let helpful voices pull me off route anymore. Out in the desert at dusk, some exits aren't really exits, and some drivers already know which one they want you to take. I'm going to tell this the same way I wrote it up for the company afterward. Dates, times, route numbers, who said what. That's how I keep it from turning into something worse in my head. Northern California, night, 2021. I was mid-run with a little over 4 hours left on my clock. Light rain, nothing unusual. The load was simple on paper. Drop and hook, in and out, keep the logs clean. I've been a company driver for a long time, so I know the drill. You follow instructions, you don't freelance decisions, you don't improvise. I remember the exact moment things went wrong. I was cruising the interstate when my GPS route bent away from the highway. I hadn't touched anything. I looked down and thought, that's not right. My phone rang through the cab speaker. Hey, we need you to reroute for a pickup before your drop, dispatch said. It's a temp yard, no sign, just a gate. That alone was odd. Our company doesn't do no sign. Everything has a name, a code, paperwork. But dispatch changes plans all the time, so I didn't push back right away. I asked what I always ask. What's the address? There was a short pause, like someone scrolling. I'll text it, he said. The text wasn't a real address. It was a set of directions, highway number, county road, then a private road near a fence line. It even had coordinates, which we almost never get unless something is way out in the middle of nowhere. I tried plugging it in. My GPS didn't know what to do with it. It kept dropping a pin in empty space and rerouting me in loops. I called dispatch back. My GPS can't pull this up, I said. Can you send a yard name or an address? It's temporary, the voice said. No sign, just a gate. You'll see it. So I took the off-ramp they told me to take. At first, nothing felt wrong. 2-lane road, trees, a few driveways, one of those places you just stay alert for deer. Then the houses stopped. The road narrowed. The shoulders dropped into ditches. The only light was my own headlights. I passed long stretches of fencing and the occasional reflective marker nailed to a post, like breadcrumbs with no context. My GPS kept trying to correct me, recalculating over and over like it couldn't admit it was lost. I called dispatch again, partly to cover myself. I'm on County Road now, I said. There's nothing out here. That's it, the voice replied immediately. You'll see a private road entrance. Go in. I rounded a bend and my headlights hit a sign. Private road, no trespassing. Beyond it was a gravel entrance cutting into the trees. No lights, no buildings, just darkness. I slowed to a crawl. Dispatch, I said, this is marked no trespassing. That's the entrance, they replied. The signage is old. You're behind schedule. There it was, pressure. I sat there with my hazards on, rain ticking against the windshield, feeling that stupid compliance itch. You don't want to write up. You don't want to be the guy who refused instructions. That's when I noticed another semi ahead on the shoulder, hazards flashing. The driver was standing outside, waving. Truckers don't flag each other down for no reason, especially not out there. I eased up and cracked my window. You headed to that temp yard? He asked. I hadn't answered yet, and he nodded like he already knew. They sent you there too, he said. I felt that tight feeling right in the chest. What do you mean to? I asked. He looked toward the private road. Guy took that road last month, he said. Same story. Dispatch reroute. He never made the pickup. I almost laughed. At the moment, it sounded unreal. They found his truck later, he added. Empty, doors closed like somebody drove it there and walked away. I asked about dispatch. He shrugged. Company said there was no record, but drivers talk. That's when he dropped the line I couldn't forget. If you go in there, don't stop deep, don't get boxed in, and don't get out for anybody. I thanked him and pulled forward just enough to look compliant. Then I called dispatch again. This time I wasn't polite. I need your employee ID, I said, and the load number. Silence, then. We don't have time for this, the voice said. Same calm tone. You're behind schedule. What terminal are you calling from? I asked. Another pause. Just go in. That was it. No dispatcher dodges that question. I rolled toward the entrance slowly. My headlights caught a chain stretched across the road. Not rusty. Fresh, and a clean padlock hanging from it. Beyond the chain, deeper in the trees, I saw a weak glow, like a dashboard lit inside a vehicle with its headlights off. Someone sitting there, waiting. I stopped and put the truck in reverse. That weak glow moved. Then the vehicle's headlights snapped on, full beams aimed straight at my cab. That wasn't an accident. That was a signal. I kept backing up, careful and calm, until I found another entrance in the trees, wide enough for the trailer to enter. I turned and drove until I found a truck stop with lights, cameras, and people. The next morning, my company told me there had been no reroute, no temp yard, no dispatch instruction. My call logs showed I'd called the dispatch number multiple times. When I asked for the recordings, they told me they couldn't retrieve them. Later that day, I got a text from an unknown number. Next time, don't waste our time. And that was the confirmation I needed. The scariest part was realizing someone knew exactly how to sound official long enough to make a professional driver drive himself into the wrong place. My name's Sarah. I drive solo over the road, and I was running through Wyoming in the winter of 2022 when this happened. It was around 3 a.m. at a rest area I'd stopped at dozens of times before. The wind was throwing snow at my rig like it was trying to get inside. My curtains were half drawn, the way I always leave them, enough to block interior light, enough to keep a thin slice of visibility. Boots lined up by the seat, keys in the same cup holder they always go in. Phone charging, pepper spray clipped to the side pocket, same as gloves or wipes. I was doing what solo drivers do when weather turns bad, waiting it out and staying unnoticed. Then I heard the first crunch of footsteps in snow right beside my passenger side. It was close enough that the sound came through the floor, through the frame of the truck. At 3 a.m., nobody's out there by accident. I didn't sit up fast or grab the curtain. I stayed still and listened. The way you do when you're trying to decide if a sound fits the environment or doesn't. Rest areas have normal noises. Doors slamming, boots heading toward bathrooms, tires hissing on slush. The footsteps didn't move toward the bathrooms. They didn't head for another vehicle. They traced a short line along my passenger side, then stopped. I picked up my phone, dimmed the screen, and pulled up the dashcam app. The front camera was useless in the storm, just gray snow and glare, but audio mattered. Proof mattered. I didn't touch the curtain. Another crunch, closer, then a soft metallic click. My passenger door handle. Light pressure, like someone checking without committing. Then again, harder. Just enough to say, I'm trying now. I didn't speak. Talking gives away more than silence. I flicked the interior light on and off once, quick, just enough to signal I was awake. The handle stopped. For a second, I thought that might be it. Then the footsteps moved again, sliding along the side of my cab. They were circling it. I pictured someone staying in my blind spots, using the truck as cover. I flashed my headlights, high beams, then back down. The lot washed white. Snowbanks, picnic tables, the bathroom building, and then went dark again. The footsteps stopped immediately. I checked my mirrors. Nothing moving away, just snow. That bothered me more than hearing someone leave, because it meant they hadn't gone anywhere obvious. I stayed still, listening. Wind, snow, my own engine. Then I heard it again, from a different angle. A step on the driver's side running board. The cab moved a little. That wasn't wind. I raised my phone and started recording. A shadow filled the thin gap where the curtain didn't meet the doorframe. Then a flat slap hit the glass, right where my head would have been if I'd leaned forward. I saw that as a message and decided to answer, so I laid on the horn. A full, sustained blast that tore through the rest area. At the same time, I turned on the headlights. The cab came alive when the gauges lit. I dropped it into gear and rolled forward carefully. As my headlights swept past the snowbank near my driver's side, I caught it for half a second. A crouched shape low to the ground, close enough to grab the door again if I'd hesitated. Then it vanished behind the blowing snow. I didn't look back and didn't circle. I drove to the nearest large truck stop with full lighting and cameras that meant something. When I parked, I watched my mirrors for hours. Thankfully, nothing followed. Inside, I acted normal on purpose. Bought coffee, nodded at another driver, didn't tell the cashier a story that would turn me into the shaken one. Back at my truck, reviewing the dash cam, the audio caught everything. The handle test, the second try, the slap. The video showed nothing but snow and light. Storms erase things. Tracks, shapes, direction. They turn the world into a blank page where someone can stand inches from you and disappear. After that night, I stopped parking at rest areas during storms if I had any choice. I'd rather sit in a crowded lot under harsh lights than wait alone in a whiteout pretending quiet means safe. Because sometimes quiet just means someone is close enough to listen and patient enough to wait. That was Tennessee, 2007. I was running regional nights, same routes, same stops, same everything. When you drive the same lanes long enough, places stop feeling like destinations and start feeling like furniture. That night, rain was coming down hard. It wasn't a drizzle, real sheets that blur depth and make the road feel smaller. The kind that turns a rest stop into a box, with the dark corners pushed in close. I pulled into a remote rest area off a 2-lane stretch. Not a big truck stop, just a low building with vending machines, a few parking spots, and yellowish lights that flickered like they were tired. 3 other rigs were parked wide, engines off, curtains drawn. I was exhausted, but not careless. I'm a locked doors guy. Cab organized, nothing loose. Curtain cracked to see the lot through the mirror. I was finishing my log when movement slid through that narrow slice of view. A woman stepped into the light. At first, I assumed she came from the bathroom building. That's what my brain wanted. But she wasn't walking from that direction. She came from the darker side of the lot, where the light faded and rain turned everything into streaks. She walked straight to my truck. I did not expect that. She stopped right under my driver window, so close that I couldn't see her whole body without leaning forward, and leaning forward meant putting my face near the glass. She knocked. I stayed still, watching through rain distortion. Faces look strange under mirrors in heavy rain. She knocked again. I cracked the curtain a little more, trying to see her hands. I couldn't. The mirror angle and rain made sure of that. "Hey," she called. "I'm sorry, can you help me?" Her voice sounded normal, like customer service normal. My phone died. My ride left. I just need to call someone. I waited a beat, then used my driver voice, the one that sounds firm without sounding aggressive. "Ma'am, step back toward the light." She didn't move. "I need to see your hands." She looked at me like the request confused her. "I'm not gonna hurt you," she said. That line always sticks out. People who mean no harm don't usually say it out loud. "Just crack it," she added, "just an inch." She stayed planted exactly where visibility was worst, where rain and mirror warped her face and hid her hands. I noticed then that she wasn't shaking. She was wet, sure. Hair stuck to her cheeks, but her posture was relaxed. Behind her, something moved. At first, it was barely anything. Movement that didn't match the rain. The rain fell straight. This moved sideways, low, near the edge of the lot. Then it was gone. I reached for my phone. Her eyes dropped instantly to my hands. That's when I realized she was tracking my movements the whole time. "I can call for you," I said. "I'll call the sheriff." "No," she said quickly. "Please, just open the window a little. I don't want to make a scene." I hadn't mentioned a scene. She had. I looked past her again. The rain made distance hard to judge, but I could see a parked car farther out. Lights off. And then my brain, tired, social, stupid, decided to compromise. Just crack the window, 1 inch. See what she does. That was the second I should have rolled out. I hit the switch and lowered the window enough to make a thin gap. Doors stayed locked. My shoulder stayed against the door. Rain rushed in immediately. "Thank you," she said, and her voice changed. Less pleading, more satisfied. "Step back," I started. Her hand shot up fast, reaching for the gap, like she meant to grab the edge and pull. At the same moment, the rain behind her moved again. This time it didn't vanish. A second figure stepped into the light behind her. Bigger, with a hood up and face low. The woman dropped the act completely. "Just give me what you got." I slammed the window up. It squealed. Her fingers smacked the glass and slid off, leaving a wet streak. The second figure started running toward me. I yanked the air horn. The sound tore through the rest stop and the woman got off the truck's steps. I threw the truck into gear and rolled out as fast as I could. In my mirror, I saw the second figure melt back into the direction of the parked car. The woman stayed under the light, watching me leave like she'd just clocked out. I drove to the nearest big truck stop and did everything I could. I told the clerk, I told other drivers. I reported it, but it was 2007. No dash cam, no plate. Woman in the rain isn't a description. Weeks later, it was already becoming one of those stories people half believe. Then, one night at a different lot, I saw her again, or someone who moved exactly like her. Same stance, same distance from a driver window, same way of choosing the spot where mirrors distort faces and hide hands. She knocked on another truck. I saw the driver inside hesitate, having the same argument I'd had. Don't be rude, don't overreact. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I got back in my cab, yanked the air horn, and left. In the mirror, I saw the other driver leaving behind me. He got the message. What I learned that night wasn't just, don't help strangers. It was this. Some people don't ask for help because they need it. They ask because they know it opens doors. I've slept in more parking lots than I can count. I've eaten meals with my steering wheel pressed against my gut. I've watched enough sunrises through dirty glass that they stopped feeling special a long time ago. So no, truck stop bathrooms don't scare me. They annoy me. They smell bad. They make me wish I'd planned my stops better. But fear? Not usually. That changed in Nevada in 2016. It was one of those desert truck stops where the building looks dropped into the middle of nowhere on purpose. Flat land, no trees, just scrub, wind, and a few lights fighting the dark. I pulled in late, midnight or later. When you own your truck, time blurs like that. I wasn't exhausted in a dramatic way, just worn down. The kind of tired that makes your movements slower and your voice quieter. I grabbed a coffee that tasted burned and headed for the men's room because, at my age, that's not optional anymore. The bathroom was exactly what you'd see in the movies. Flickering fluorescent lights. A smell that tried to be bleach and failed. 2 sinks, 1 usable. A line of stalls with thin metal doors that always feel slightly warped, like they've seen things. I was opening a stall when I heard it. Breathing. Not general bathroom noise. Not someone washing their hands or clearing their throat. It was slow breathing coming from the last stall at the far end. I stopped and listened. The sound was close, like whoever it was had their face near the door. I looked down the row. The stall door was closed. The latch was turned. Red strip visible. Occupied. I did what people do when they want to keep things normal. I cleared my throat, loud enough to announce myself. The breathing continued. I used the nearest stall and got it done fast. When I stepped out, I looked again toward the far stall. I was curious, and you know that's a hard thing to shut off. When I looked, I noticed there were no feet. You always see something under a stall door. Boots, sneakers, the edge of a shoe, sometimes even knees. This time there was nothing. The floor was clear, but the breathing was still there. My brain went to work immediately, trying to make it harmless. Maybe he's standing on the toilet seat. That idea only comes to you if you've been on the road long enough to know people will do strange things for reasons that don't make sense. I stepped a little closer. Not bravely, just enough to be sure. The latch was still locked. I leaned a little, checking the gap again. Nothing. Then the breathing stopped, like it reacted to me stopping. I straightened up and forced a little laugh, the kind you use when you want to pretend you're not bothered. "Everything all right?" I called out, and I didn't get an answer. I backed away toward the sinks and turned on the faucet. The water noise helped. It made the room feel more ordinary. I watched everything through the mirror so I didn't have to turn my back. The stall stayed closed. Then I heard a click, the exact sound of a latch turning. I watched the mirror as the stall door moved, slowly. It swung open like someone pushed it with intention. No one stepped out. The inside of the stall looked darker than it should have, like the light didn't quite reach it. And then the breathing started again. That was enough. I didn't check. I didn't call out again. I didn't try to be brave. I shut off the water, wiped my hands on my jeans, and walked out like I belonged somewhere else. I went straight to my truck and locked the doors. That's when the explanations came. Broken latch, bad angle, draft, someone messing around. I almost bought it. Then I thought about the breathing. It didn't sound like someone hiding. It sounded like someone waiting. Waiting for me to step closer. Waiting for me to bend down and look. Waiting for curiosity to do what it always does. I moved my truck closer to other rigs and slept there. I never told anyone at the stop. I didn't go back with backup. I didn't stand outside the restroom warning strangers. I just left. And now, years later, when I hear something in a truck stop bathroom that doesn't fit, I don't investigate. I don't need to know. Once you've seen a stall door open on its own while the breathing is still inside, logic stops helping. All it does is make you imagine what would have happened if you'd taken one more step. If you're still thinking about how close these stories came to disaster, smash that like button, hit subscribe so you never miss the next nightmare, and let me know which story got under your skin. And if isolation on the road felt uncomfortable, click now to watch 4 disturbing blizzard horror stories. Because when the weather turns hostile, help doesn't always make it in time. Thanks for watching. Stay alert, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next nightmare.